All right, welcome back to another episode of Real Talk with a Vulnerable Angel and friends. I am your host, Dominica May, the Vulnerable Angel. We are at episode 52 after having a couple of weeks off for various reasons. I am joined tonight by my regular friend and guest, Sharad. Welcome, Sharad.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for having me back on.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so our topic for today is judging others and ourselves, which is actually a topic that I came up with several weeks ago at this point. I think I came up with it like before we started doing those personality quizzes and stuff. And so I'm like, I guess we're finally going to get around to doing this topic with the questions that I pulled up from ChatGPT weeks ago, because I was not like remotely I've been frazzled the last couple of weeks. I feel like out of sorts because I haven't been doing this stream for a couple of weeks now. So I'm like, and I've been so busy with a bunch of other things that I just like, I did not have the energy to figure out something new. So I'm glad I had some like prepared material
Nice.
for tonight. Oh my goodness. Okay, so where we're at. Okay, so my apologies. If this is your first time tuning in, what we do is we generally have a set topic each week. We do appreciate having audience participation. If people are watching, feel free to chime in with your comments or questions in the chat. We do love that. Otherwise, you're more than welcome to just watch and hear us chat about our discussion topic. And what else? And we try to get like really personal and talking about things that people maybe aren't so comfortable talking about in public, or things that they share more privately with just their closest friends and that sort of thing. So yeah, judging others and ourselves. So I wrote in the description, there's a famous Bible quote, and I'm no longer identify as Christian or Catholic. Like, I was raised Catholic, but I don't identify that way anymore. I don't go to church or anything like that. But there is a famous quote from the Bible: "Judge not, lest thee be judged." Judge not lest ye be judged, which is like one of the things that even though I don't consider myself religious, I feel like has been kind of a guiding principle in a way for me, in terms of like, when I don't like being judged, and so when I consider that, it helps me try not to judge other people for their own actions and behaviors and life choices and whatnot. But sometimes it's a challenge. So that's why I decided let's explore this topic of judgment and passing judgment on other people and ourselves. Like, I think sometimes it can be even more common for us to judge ourselves for our choices than it's for other people as well.
Well, that's the thing. I always go by the mantra, like, don't judge other people, but at the same time, some of you guys make it very, very hard. So.
Yes. I was like, really? Because there's some things that you're just like, it's really hard to like know. I mean, if you're making illegal choices in certain particular areas, I don't care what your excuse is. There could never be an excuse good enough for that decision,
At the end of the day, though, you do you, boo. It's your life. You do whatever you want to do.
As long as you're not harming other people, and potentially yourself, depending to what extent, then your choices should be okay. But people are going to judge you no matter what. So sometimes you just have to be accept that people are going to judge you no matter what, and hopefully you just don't let that bother you too much and impact your choices that you make. If you know that the decision you're making is the right one for you.
There you go.
All right. So, all that preface just off the top of my head, because I'm an improviser like that. Now let's jump into our questions from ChatGPT. The first question seems kind of intense. When you catch yourself judging someone, what's usually underneath that judgment? Fear, insecurity, disappointment, or something else? Got any thoughts?
I probably want to say fear is probably the most obvious one. Like a lot of times whenever you judge someone, in my experience, there's always that fear that you're only a day or two from that becoming you yourself. I can't remember where this line was, but I think it always stuck with me. It's like we're all the worst versions away from ourselves in like within just one day. We could reach that. So it's definitely fear, and I think we judge people nowadays en masse. So it's like it's a whole bunch of people. It's not just one or two people. It's hundreds, thousands, if not millions of people. And there is that fear. If this has happened to them, that can only be it could be me down the line.
Yeah, so there's a fear that if what they are doing, that you're going to turn into doing that sort of thing in the future.
Right.
I see.
It's a slippery slope.
Yeah. For me, I think it really depends on what I'm judging the person for. Like, genuinely, what's underneath it is dependent on that. So, like, it could be disappointment. Like, I'm judging someone because they didn't meet my expectations for them. And I was like, really, you couldn't do that that simple task, or judging them because they didn't help me, or that's the disappointment side of things. There is the side where it's a projection. So like, I'm judging someone for an action that I either could not see myself doing, or I would judge myself for. And so, like, the things that I'm just like, oh man, I would hate myself if I did that, and so I'm judging another person for doing the thing that I would hate in myself. So projection is a big part sometimes. I think there's probably fear sometimes as well, but I don't know so much as the same reasoning as yours. I don't know if it's me being afraid that I'm going to turn into something. It might be more like afraid of how that person's decisions might impact me. Because other people's actions will have an impact on other people most of the time. Whether it's them asserting boundaries, or following a path that doesn't align with what you want to do, or what you want to do with them, various things. So yeah, I don't think insecurity is ever a reason, or at least I can't think of any examples where, unless it was like I'm judging for someone for doing something that I wish I could do, but I was insecure about.
It's envy, pretty much.
Yeah.
Envy.
Yeah. So
like something. One thing I've caught myself not very subconsciously doing. Quite a few of my friends from college, university, they've gone on to do like extraordinary things, and a lot of things that I wanted to do, and I can't help it. Like, there are bits of me that are just, the majority, 99% of me is going, oh, I'm so happy for them. They worked so hard. They're great people. But there is that 1% where I'm just like, so, yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, it can be hard to see other people achieving different things or better things, and just well, I guess this is a good segue into our next question, which is, how does the way you judge others differ from the way you judge yourself?
Nice. I don't know. I think there's the old story that, we're our harshest critics, and which is understandable. And I think the way that, in my experience, it's twofold. So if it's people we know, we tend to have higher standards for them. If it's for people in general, I think the base gets, because in the last decade, I imagine it's probably gotten lower and lower and lower, because the threshold.
Yes.
Yeah, because the threshold keeps on moving forward. Again, just kind of going into the general mindset and politics of the world today, something that someone could say or do tomorrow would have been all major scandals like 10 years ago. It would have ended their career. Here it's just Tuesday. Yeah, here it's just Tuesday. So
I know.
Yeah, and
like madness.
And so apathy can overtake empathy very, very quickly. But I do think that at least in our ways, we tend to be our harshest critics. So, but that's just me.
So are you saying like maybe some of our judgments in the past might have been harsher and actually impacted people to make better choices because people judged more and cared more about what people did with their lives, and now it's like, oh well, there's nothing I can do to change it. So I guess
I mean, let's just look at technology, the way how it's amended us, because now everyone has a voice. You can reach your favorite creator, your favorite celebrity, with a click of a button. Say, oh, I think you're beautiful. Oh, I think you're a piece of poop, and it'll reach them. And everyone now has a voice. So in some ways, it's almost diluted the entire thing, isn't it? So
because you get to see all the positive and the negative voices, and you get to choose what you focus on. So you could choose to ignore all the positive ones and focus on the negative ones and be like all negative Nancy in your mindset for it, or you can do the opposite, ignore all the negative ones and inflate your ego with all of the positive comments that you might get. So that's definitely a possibility for sure. Okay, for my answer to this question, how does the way I think I judge myself more harshly than I judge others, because I feel like, in some ways, I feel like other people do and should have more freedom of choice about their own lives than I have for myself, which is bizarre. I think because of the way I was raised, I have this voice in my head about what is, good behavior versus bad behavior, and what I've had this history of trying to make choices that would make my mum proud and not going down a different path, because I worry about how, my dead mother, who has been dead for 20 years, might judge me for it in the afterlife or whatever. And so I think anytime I want to do something that is quote unquote irresponsible, I am judging myself for it. It's like, no, I shouldn't spend my free time doing this fun. I should be doing something more productive with my or if they end up just spending too much time on social media, it's like, what the fuck did I do that for? And I'm just constantly judging myself for that sort of thing. I'm at a juncture in my life right now where I'm really trying to overcome that. I don't want to go into detail about this because I'm not ready to share it yet, but I've kind of settled on the next chapter of my life, what I want to be dedicating it to, what I want to be doing. But it's something that past me never would have considered a possible path for me. I totally would have judged myself for it as maybe irresponsible or, you know, not prioritizing other things that could be more important. And you know, I had a huge like back and forth with my therapist this week about like the different sides of myself of what I'm thinking about like doing with this. And yeah, it's hard to kind of remind myself that I am allowed to pursue this thing that has clearly been a prominent part of my life throughout, you know, my entire life, but has never felt like the most responsible career path kind of sort of thing, just because of my mum's judgments of, you know, you got to do something that is easier to get into. You know what? But fuck, the IT industry right now is in shambles and people are getting laid off because of AI disruption and all that. Like, it's not actually it's not actually as easy as it once was. So yeah, I look forward to being able to share more details about it in the future, but I'm not quite at that point yet. But it's been a huge challenge for me to be like giving myself permission to actually go after this thing that I feel really excited about.
I think it's really interesting what you just said about people who've passed as well. Are they in some ways the ultimate judge that we can never really impress? And yeah, it's always tricky because those that we are no longer in contact with, we tend to put them on a pedestal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's extremely hard. And there's no way we can get feedback, negative or positive, from them, can we? So either way, it's just going to.
If they're dead, sure. If they're have just ghosted you, or if they're someone you've deliberately gone no contact with, it's another story. You could at some point probably hear from them about things. For example, like I prefer not to communicate with my ex-husband, but he likes to tell me exactly what he thinks about certain blog posts that I've written, despite that.
Bruh.
I'm like, dude, I don't care. It's none of your business. Like, I don't know why you care so much. My audience is so small that it's like it does. I don't think that my blog posts have the impact that.
But thank you for the engagement.
I suppose that works. Anyway, I got to the point of telling him, like, look, I don't want to discuss my blog with you anymore. It's not one of our agreed upon discussion topics.
Nice.
But I did have to agree to paywall one particular blog post that he was especially not happy with, which I have not done yet. I'm waiting to I have to confirm with my realtor that he has signed a particular document that he needs to sign in order for me to sell my house before I'm willing to paywall that post, because otherwise, I mean, that was the part of the agreement. It's like, fine, whatever. Yeah. But I was going to add, like, my ex-husband was a huge judgmental person in my life in the past. And so, like, this thing that I'm working towards pursuing right now is totally a thing that I am pretty sure that he would judge me for. And I don't know how he's going to react to it once he learns of it, if it ends up, you know, going through. But at the same time, like, I don't care what he thinks about it anymore. Like, what can he do? Like,
yeah.
So that's, at least I feel like that has become more of a load off compared to the still my mum's, you know, expectations of me is completely different, because I still have respect for my mum.
Yeah, and as we mentioned earlier, how everyone has a voice. I think at the same time, it's up to us to to disseminate what goes in, really. And as the world's gotten smaller and as people have gotten, let's say, more brasher, there is, I mean, odds are there's 99% of the time you're not going to get a favorable answer. And it's up to you to really decide how you let that judgment, whether it's based in reality or just whatever, how it gets into you. If 9 times out of 10, you just got to put on your bulletproof vest and let it bounce off you.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. I have a related question to this. Are there things that you judge about yourself that you don't judge in other people? Like specific things. Like, for example, for me, I don't judge other people's promiscuity. They're welcome to do whatever they want.
As long as everyone's consenting, you're good.
Yeah, like I don't care. Whatever they want to do. Same with abortion. Whatever they want to do, like that's their choice. For me, it is absolutely like something that I judge myself for. I am not comfortable with being promiscuous. I'm not comfortable with seeking abortion, for example. Maybe I would, like, if it was life threatening, God forbid. But in terms of there were choices that I had to be confronted with in the past because I have 2 children, and when I was through those moments, I'm like, you know what, I couldn't. There's no way that I would be able to do that. So, those are some examples where I don't judge other people for their choices, but I totally judge myself for it. Do you have examples like that with your own?
Personally, in my recent experience, it's twofold. It's how people in Malaysia, we're very much a social hierarchy, whether it's seen or unseen, official or unofficial. But one thing that really kind of grinds my gears, I'm bringing that line back, grinds my gears, is how people treat others, let's say in the service industry, or just people who are viewed as lower than them. So and it irritates me, and it's not to say that I'm a bastion of freedom and whatever. It's just like, a little common decency. I understand maybe you're having a bad day. I mean, whatever. But that if that happens, I just go, I'm not engaging with that person, or if I know that person, my estimation of them has gone down considerably. So that's a big thing. And like the fact is, if when we're in public, whenever we're talking to people, or even in private, we tend to be the best versions of ourselves. And if that's the best version of yourself, but with that being said, I think hindsight is 2020, and I think that we judge ourselves both fairly and unfairly sometimes, because obviously we have high expectations. We want to be the best versions of ourselves, but we're often like, there's that the angel and devil on your shoulder that always will end up giving you really, really bad advice.
I feel like this is like a good example of where and you didn't, not specifically your example, but it's the kind of thing where some people might be easily prone to judgment in other people behaving badly in public, but if they themselves did it, they wouldn't judge themselves for it because they have an explanation or excuse for their behavior, right? It's like, oh, I'm allowed to get upset in public because I'm having a bad day, or my best friend just died, or my husband just died, or whatever, so I'm allowed to behave like this because of whatever reason. But other people, kicking up a stink in public, I don't care what their reason is. They shouldn't be behaving like that, right? I don't know if I have any examples of me doing that sort of thing. That's the kind of example where I try not to judge people in public for their bad behavior, because I don't know what else might be going on their lives that causes them to behave that way. We've talked about this before. Like one of the things that as a writer I like to do is understand the why behind people's
Right.
behavior.
There's no
And
such thing as an evil character. Well, there is,
right,
or no
exactly.
such thing as a bad character.
And so, you know, I like to try and understand the why behind someone doing something. And then once I get to that point, then I am less likely to judge them and have more empathy for them. And I don't know, it just makes it easier for me to forgive them, even in situations where other people would not be forgiving, right? So sometimes it can be the opposite positive impact of
Right.
judgment.
But the interesting thing, just to go off that, is we don't always have to forgive people when we judge them. Like, when we judge
Yeah.
them, we can say, okay, I'm drawing a line and sayonara. So, I mean, we don't have to be the bigger person all the time.
Yeah, that actually is a great segue into one of the later questions. But since it's a good segue, I'm going to bring this up next, which
Okay.
is how do you balance holding
Ah,
people accountable with not being overly judgmental?
wow.
I
Ooh.
know.
Um, that's tough. There are two ways, in my experience, to go about it. You could tell them,
Mm,
just straight up tell them, or let's say it's someone you engage with relatively frequently, and you just disengage. You don't talk to them, you don't socialize with them, and after a while, that person will be like, "What did I do?" And it makes them think, and uh, yeah. So I think we have to balance that out without being overtly judgmental. I think we're in a world where everyone has a bastion they have to fight for,
mhm.
and yeah, and it's tricky because I think that we live in a world now where everyone has such a voice they have to share about this, and this is the biggest thing, and blah blah blah. And you just the only way you can balance that out is don't preach it and just act it out yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, so if you see
Teach
someone,
by example.
teach by example, lead
Yeah.
by example. Like
Yeah.
uh, one good thing that I kind of think about is a sports analogy in terms of how being professional in the dressing rooms and what have you, like
Mm,
regardless of what sport or what team you play for. A lot of the older senior managers in history, I'm talking about football or soccer for our American counterparts, like a lot of them will say that uh, how you lead by example is not by dominating someone or shouting, it's how you carry yourself.
mm,
Like you, like for example, one of the football teams where whenever they would travel by coach or whatever for away games, they always wore the club suits, always very very meticulous. They would always eat together as a team. And yeah, so it just goes to show that in some ways, instead of preaching or judging people, you do what you want other people to follow.
right. So in this kind of instance, we're just basically saying it's like hold yourself accountable. So when you do something wrong,
Right.
hold yourself accountable to other people, and hopefully that they will do the same in return with you.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, though, we can't control other people. We can't
Mhm.
we can't change circumstances by willing it and shouting it, going, "Arr!" It's all you can do is, and I say this all the time, all you can control is yourself.
Yeah, I definitely try to do that with, holding myself accountable and leading by example in that kind of sense.
Uh-huh.
But there are times where that does not like result in other people holding themselves accountable with me. So I think one of the things that I've not really put into practice at this point, because I haven't had opportunities to do so since kind of learning more about this. I've seen like people talking about how you can come together with someone by saying, this is I'm we're part of a team. Let's find a solution to this problem together. I care about you regardless. there's just this one thing that has been bothering me. And
That's been
so
on
it's,
my mind.
so that's a way you can kind of skirt around the judgment stuff at least a little bit to share, like, you matter to me and I'm sharing this because you matter to me. If you didn't, then I would just like move the fuck on.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be hardcore. It could just be like, hey, listen, pal, I've noticed recently you've been having a bit of a drinking problem. I don't want to judge you, but I've noticed it's every time I see you, you're not in control. Are you okay? And sometimes with that, it's not about shaming the person. Maybe they're just going through a difficult time and going, listen,
Yeah.
I'm here.
Or offering some assistance or support. It's like, is there anything that I can do to support
Yeah,
you through this?
yeah,
Yeah, showing that kind of empathy with it,
yeah,
and like, when you can acknowledge that there's a problem, but say, look, I recognize this may not be your fault. There are probably like things that I can't see behind this. I would like to help you, like, work through this if you're willing to work with me on that, or something, depending on like how much this person matters to you, right? Like, if it's
yeah.
just someone that's a casual acquaintance, maybe you're not going to offer so much
Well,
that kind of support. But
it's really funny you mentioned that because sometimes with a casual acquaintance, it's easier to share because we don't have that baggage.
that's
Like,
true.
yeah.
Yeah,
So in some
because you're
ways,
worried about
yeah,
damaging the friendship if you
right.
push too much in things.
That's why I
It's
imagine with
tricky.
with therapists, I mean, not because we're paying them, obviously, but because they're a stranger, we can unload everything. That they don't have that attachment to us. So in some ways, and this has happened to me before, where I will open up to a complete, like, wherever I am. Maybe I'm at a bar, maybe I'm on the street talking to someone or whatever, and we'll literally share everything with each other, everything, the best and the worst things about us, because we don't have that fear of, oh my god, this person's never going to talk to me again, because we don't know that person.
Fair. Yeah. I mean, dude, like, I recently got a new therapist, as in like a couple of months ago now, because my
Uh-huh.
other therapist needed some time off. And I've been surprised by how much I've opened up to her so quickly, to the extent that I am like just literally in tears for the last couple of sessions, just because there's been so much going on, like, and just like revealing all of this information. It's like, oh man, I didn't even realize that this bothered me to this extent. And I was like, and
Oh
I'm not
dear.
like that with most people, right? So yeah, that's been interesting to explore.
Question though, I hope you don't mind me asking.
Oh, go ahead.
In your history with therapists, have they been mostly female, male, and women? Because in my experience with therapy, I've had both, and I do admit I do find myself opening up more to the females. Maybe it's just because they have that nurturing
Mm.
kind of energy. What about you?
I've had both, but I've probably had more female therapists.
Mhm.
My first psychologist was in high school, and the school psychologist was a man, and he was like not great. So it was. I don't even remember what I talked to him about, but I didn't feel like he was an easy person to talk to.
Uh,
My most recent male therapist was amazing. I really enjoyed talking to him, and I felt like I could be really open with him. And he, um, a lot of the things some of the things I talked to him about were like some issues within my marriage. And, in those kinds of situations, you might think that a man might be more empathetic towards the man in the situation, but he was 100% on my side and was like, "Oh my god, your ex, your husband sounds like." He was totally
not the
judging my
best.
ex-husband. Like, I don't want to go into detail about what I was talking to him about, but he was like, "Oh yeah, oh my god." So, I definitely felt like I could tell him pretty much anything as well, like really hard stuff that I don't know if I've talked to about with any of my female therapists, because it wasn't relevant at the time. It was relevant when I was talking about when I had this male therapist. So I don't know. Maybe it's just because I don't know that there's been much different either way for in terms of challenges to open up. I think maybe just because I have more male friends in general that I feel more comfortable opening up to. So maybe that is why it doesn't matter as much. Because it's easier for me to open up to guys. So it doesn't matter.
I don't know. That's really interesting because it depends. For me, if I open up to another man, it's usually because I need that pep talk. I need that that unfiltered response of yes, I see what you're going through, or no, I think you're bullshitting. With a woman, it's in my experience, it's because I need that softer, more nurturing kind of reassurance or what have you. So it does depend.
Okay, so it depends on what kind of advice or feedback you're looking for.
Right. So, but don't get me wrong. If I've had women, say, "Oh, you're in the wrong. You need to do this," as well. And I've had guys that will put their arm over over my shoulder and say, "It's all right. Like, I understand." So it's not one or the other. But in usual, it usually breaks down to whether I want something more nurturing or whether I need something more reassuring.
Yeah, I think that probably also there's like a gender difference because you're a man. Like you're going to receive different kinds of reactions from men versus women. Whereas because I'm a woman, men are not necessarily going to give me the same kind of response that a man would give you in the same kind of situation.
How so?
I feel like a lot of men have offered me empathy without having to granted not all the time. There's definitely mansplaining stuff that happens or like advice giving when I'm not asking for advice. But I have had plenty of men that have been fine with just being an ear for me to, verbal diarrhea on. vent to without giving me advice and just offering me
just empathy. Being there. Yeah. I think that's a very interesting thing. I had one a couple of instances, one woman in particular, and I think maybe a handful of guys where I'll open up and they don't say anything. All they do is sit down next to me and that's it. They're just there. And in some ways, that's the best kind of therapy you could really ask for.
Yeah. I was unloading with one of my male friends just yesterday, I think it was, like on a video call about the path forward and what I'm doing to work towards it right now. And like my I guess it was yesterday because yesterday was my therapy appointment. And like explaining to him my freak out with my therapist, like with the both sides kind of thing. And he was just looking at me with awe like this whole time. And I'm just like, why are you looking at me like that? And he's like, he was just like, I'm just so impressed with you, with everything that you're doing to make that happen. I'm like, really? Cool. So like it's nice to have that kind of support because like this thing that I'm working towards right now is fucking scary, and that's why I'm not like sharing it widely right now. I've only told like a handful of people that I'm working towards this thing.
FYI, everyone, Dominica's trying out for the WWE. That's a big dream. So.
You would like that, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah, I would love that.
You would totally watch that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Give her the
tombstone. Knowing how much of a WWE fan you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, massive.
Sharon, how could you guess and give it away like that?
Sorry.
Come on, come on. All right, my dad has got a couple of comments for us. Yeah.
Frank, do you think that Dominica could do well in WWE? Let us know the thought.
I think that's a thing that my dad would just like, oh, don't do that.
Don't encourage her. Don't encourage her. She'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's weird. Oh, no, hang on. I'll bring my dad's comment in a little bit. Looks like he's got a second part that he's not posted yet.
Okay.
Okay, so then let's go on to the next question here,
Next question.
is can you recall a time when being judged changed how you saw yourself for better or worse?
Yes. Yes. When I was in Teesside, which is Middlesbrough in the UK, I was there for 1 year of university to finish off my degree. And yeah, like I realized, for example, all of us would, in the English department, we all became one familia, as it was called. And we'd go on nights out. And after a while, it got really, really bad in the sense that I would black out quite consistently, wake up back in my apartment, and I'd be like, "Blah." And I remember like I would text some people going, "Oh, what happened last night?" They're like, "Oh, blah 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 blah." It's for her. And I remember like a friend of mine, Sally, she messaged me and she's like, "Oh, are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." She's like, "Yeah, maybe don't drink so often next time, dude." And she didn't tell me what happened, but the way that text was framed, I was like, "Buh." And it just goes to show, like, if other people see things, you might want to change it. So yeah, and in that way, it kind of made me realize, like, oh, listen, I can have fun without the alcohol. And I remember I did one night out where, excuse me, where I was just drinking Sprite and 7-Up and Red Bull. Sprite, 7-Up, Sprite and Coke and Red Bull, rather. And I was fine. And I remember there was one night, it was a house party. I remember this. I was the only sober person there, and I could not stop laughing. And it was great. And I remember everyone's like, "Oh, like 30," because it was a really wild party. It was like 30 people, and I'm not joking. Everyone blacked out, every single person, and I was the only sober person. And I remember everyone would be messaging the group chat going, "What the hell happened last night?" I was like, and yeah, so it was quite fun.
Did you ever tell any of them what they did, or was
Yep.
it just
Yep. And I remember some of them would just be like, "Oh my god, oh my god," and I wouldn't tell them the full extent, or at the same time, I might embellish it a little bit just for certain people.
Because doesn't alcohol just give you lower inhibitions to do things that you already want to do anyway?
Yes and no. Yes, it lowers your inhibitions, but at the same time, it I mean, for example, I'm sure you've like people who drunk drive or what have you. It completely messes up your motor functions and your speech capabilities, and just yeah. So it doesn't mean you're yourself times 100. It just means that you lose all inhibition, good or bad.
Okay. Yeah. I've never gotten blackout drunk before. I'm pretty sure that every time I've been drunk, I can still remember
Most of it, yeah.
the weird stuff that I did. And so my experience is more just been, lowered inhibitions to say things that I probably would have said anyway.
Right.
Or alcohol has the same impact on me as what not getting enough sleep does.
Really?
Yeah. So I can be up like super late at night and like having a conversation with someone. I'll be more open with the people that I'm with than I might otherwise, in the same way that I would be as if I was drunk.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There was one time, it was in America, where me being an idiot, I left everything last minute.
Mm.
for assignments, and I didn't sleep for 2+ days. And I remember on the third day when I submitted everything. I remember like being on the bus back to my apartment, and I was just, it was the weirdest experience. Like I felt like I was outside my body. I thought like there was some uh, animated bird sitting on my shoulder tweeting at me, and it was bizarre.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
uh, no, I know for some reason that's making me think of the movie that I watched today. I finally got around to watching An American Werewolf in London.
Oh no way!
Yeah, that was what I watched today.
Wow, what a
and
great film!
and so yeah, there are scenes where his dead friend comes back and talks to him. So
Yeah,
it was kind of felt similar to what you were saying.
yeah. I mean, thankfully my hallucinations were not that graphic, but yeah,
Thankfully.
thankfully. Oh god.
The makeup on that for 1981 is pretty incredible, right?
Well, I mean, not just that, the makeup, but the sorry,
Special effects for the transformation.
the special effects. Like there are bits where you see his hand, for example, start stretching, and even today, like
Mm.
people are like watching it for the first time, just going, "How did they do that?" And everything is
In
practical.
1981 without CGI.
No CGI, and it's amazing. The bits even where you see his chest and all the hair start coming out, and
Yeah.
you see him. There's one scene where you see him lying down, and you see his hips and his arms getting longer, and he's screaming, and you're like, "Oh my god, that's nightmare fuel," and it's
Yeah.
amazing.
That was a really intense scene. I'm glad
Yeah,
that you and Mike told me to get around to
yeah. So we're happy that you watched it. It's great.
finally got around to it. Okay. So tangent that was. I'll answer this question, then we'll get to my dad's comments. Hopefully he's
Yeah,
got all of
please.
his comments up by then. So for me, I guess the best examples I have of this would be when I was a kid or in high school, and how my peers judged me, because I think there were times in my youth where I didn't care what other people thought. I was just went about my own business and did my own thing, and I was happy to do that. So the examples I have were like being called a crybaby, and that made me in a negative way see myself in a more negative way as like, oh, okay, I guess my emotions are not okay to share, so that led me to be more closed off. And then like also in high school with realizing that people judged me in a harsh light as being uncool or unsociable, or I got called a Bible thumper when I didn't know what a Bible thumper was, and I
We
just
just
was
going
like,
around smacking
no.
books.
My reaction was like, yeah, I bashed the Bible.
You just walk around the whole
I
way.
didn't understand that it was the opposite of that. It was like it meant that
That's
you're
funny.
a very religious person. I had no idea.
In some ways, that's amazing. That's brilliant. If that was your reaction, perfect. Yeah.
It showcased how dumb I was because I didn't understand that terminology, right? So it made
Hey,
me
man.
feel stupid. It made me
Childhood,
feel
ni-
stupid.
childhood naivety is a beautiful thing.
Uh,
Never.
so yeah, so my peers' judgments in those times, I say I had it changed how I saw myself in a more negative way, and like I judge myself more harshly, like I'm uncool, people don't like me,
Yeah.
blah blah blah, and it shaped my whole view of myself, right? And I mean, eventually it led on to me making better choices for myself and so on. But yeah, those were hard lessons or experiences to have.
hmm
Um,
But in some ways, we need those judgments, don't we? Because like for example, no. Wait, hear me out. Hear me
okay,
out. Hear me
okay.
out. Not okay, but we do need some judgments. For example,
Some, yes.
yeah, because yeah, like there have been times where my family, particularly like my immediate family, would be like, looking a bit bulky there, son. Maybe you want to go for a walk. Maybe you want to put down that bottle of Coke.
There are
Or
different ways to approach
yeah,
it that is not so like bullying, though.
yeah, of course, yeah, of course. But at the
um,
same time, it's different because like I remember one time my dad, he just exploded on me for no apparent reason. He was like, "Oh, I'm a doctor. I know better. Like, if you do this, you won't be able to do that." And he came from a place of good intentions. How he went about it was wrong, but he did make some good points medically. You
mm,
know, we have to look after ourselves the older we get, whether we have an illness or an injury or whatever. That will obviously make it more important. So yeah, it's all about how you communicate that judgment.
yes. Yeah, there are healthy ways and unhealthy ways to share those judgments.
Right. But in
Um,
some ways as well, if it's between friends, it can almost be very disarming to just be overtly blunt, just going, "Hey, buddy, you're looking like you got those man titties already." Huh? Then in some ways you're like, "Oh, Jesus Christ." So yeah,
like
so
sexy. No, it was like sexy man today.
yeah, and like I remember like when I was in Teesside, this it used to crack me and my friends up all the time. Whenever we were in a bar, one of the guys, Matty, would always walk past me, sneak up behind me, and kiss my ball spot. And I'm really like, "Why do you always do that?" And he's like, "I'm kissing it for good luck." And I'm like, so yeah,
But
it's
it's one of those things that you have no control over that. You can't change not having a bald
well,
spot.
nowadays you can, but
It
it's beyond
costs
my
money to
financial
get
means.
hair implants, right?
I mean,
It's not cheap, right?
it's not
Not that I've
well,
looked not that I've looked into it, but
I have. I have. Well, I mean, if you go to Turkey and India, particularly India now, you have to look at least five figures to get it done. And
wow.
yeah,
You'd have to
so
be have a bit of a big ego in order to justify that, it sounds like.
well, I mean, to be fair, if I could afford it, I would. But until that time, this is what you get.
If you were a millionaire, fine. If you were Elon Musk, who probably has had some work done by the looks
Some,
of things.
some,
Look,
some.
we're not I'm trying not to judge here.
We don't. Yeah, we don't. We're already doing. We're already doing what we're doing. Yeah, some.
We're trying to be anti-judgment on this stream.
While we hear bitching about celebrities, yeah.
Sorry. That was another kind
See,
of a
it's a
tangent.
good. That was a very good example of how things can change. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other example I can think of for this topic or for this question is when I felt judged about and I've brought this up on the stream in the past, where someone told me that I couldn't publish a novel because I didn't read very much or anything at all at the time, and I was working on writing a novel at the time, and
That's the equivalent of saying you can't open a karate dojo because you've never been in a bar fight. That makes no sense.
because it's a different kind of example of
Yeah,
um
it makes sense.
well, because I mean, you still I don't know. I think the idea was, how can you know how to write well if you don't read good writing? It's like, because there are other ways of learning storytelling that aren't through reading.
Yeah,
Like,
and like,
I learned the art of storytelling through film and television, right? And
and that will be different
that's
to
just as
comic
good.
book writing or play writing, but it's still a form of storytelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I could have let that, really get to me, and it kind of did in the beginning, but then it
Sure.
led to me being like, you know what? I'll show you how wrong you are. And it served as a motivator for me to finish my novel and publish it. So it was more of like, fuck you. You were wrong. I did it.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like, when one of my challenges with reading is because I'm autistic, and so like I when I read, sometimes I don't fully pick up what I'm reading and I have to reread passages over and over again. So I'm a very slow reader. And then when I'm reading something is very dry and hard to get through, it takes like extra long, right? And so I think that actually ended up being helpful for me because it meant that I was writing something that I would want to read that would actually push me to not read like I would read those things. And so when I got to the point of like my first draft was finished of my novel and I set it aside for months, when I went back to it, I didn't remember half of what I'd written. And so when I was rereading it for editing, I was like, oh man, this is so good. You know? And like that's the kind of reaction that I would want to have because it meant that I wrote something that I wanted to read.
Right.
And so who cares what other people think? If they don't like it, it's just not their taste. It doesn't mean that you suck.
Just from being on a corporate side, like, obviously when I write for clients, ghostwrite for them, I always had to think to myself, okay, I'm not writing for me, I'm writing for a specific audience, but that audience has to be engaged. Whether it's this audience doesn't reflect, it does not always reflect me. I have to ensure that audience will enjoy this. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of give and take.
Yeah. Well, you managed to get through my entire memoir, so clearly I wrote enough in a way that made it engaging for you.
Nowhere near enough.
It was 235,000 words. It's not enough.
No, not even close. Not even close.
But my point was, like, I clearly wrote in a way that made it engaging for you to be able to work your way through it.
It was.
Even with how many words it was. Because like that many words is daunting for me to read. So if I am able to reread through all of that, fucking long shit.
It was very girthy, folks. Very girthy.
Ooh. Is this a that's what she said kind of?
What she said. Oh.
Okay, so I have a question. Were you someone who watched The Office like Mike as well? Or is it just Mike that was pushing for me to watch The Office?
The OG Office?
The US version.
Well, the US version, I've watched bits of it, but not beginning to end.
Okay. Because for some reason, something made me think that's what she said, quote, came from The Office.
Because Michael Scott would always say, that's what she said.
Oh, okay. Did it come from that, or was it just popularized by it?
I think it was popularized by it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I only just recently watched the first season of the US Office, and I could definitely see where the UK influence was from, and I did not see what's his name? The guy who plays Michael Scott. Why can't I remember his name right now?
Steve Carell.
Steve Carell, yes.
Yeah.
He is not I don't see him the same way that I see Ricky Gervais. And so the second episode with the diversity stuff, it's just like, it made me so uncomfortable. I'm like, I don't know that I can keep watching this show after this episode. I was so uncomfortable with that episode. I could see how it would work in the UK version with Ricky Gervais, but I don't see Steve Carell that way, that it just felt really off-putting. Anyway, that's another tangent. I apologize. All right, let's get to my dad's comments here. It does look like he has brought them up. Okay, so he says, okay, sorry, I thought I accidentally clicked on the wrong thing. Accountability versus judgment. We seem to make God as judgmental, partly from Old Testament stories, not fully understood. I kind of connect to C.S. Lewis' Great Divorce concept. God doesn't condemn. Let me get the next part. See, it says continued. God respects human free will and allows people to choose their end. The choice be with God or separate from God. So those are the choices that they can choose. God provides guidelines, and God is willing always to forgive when contrite. And then there's a part 3 here. That's what sorry, I clicked the wrong thing. Seeks reconciliation by recognizing error and seeks to change. Good thief at crucifixion. Being able to forgive others seems key in this.
Yeah. I think there you go. Like the idea that we have to being able to forgive, that's a very strong part, but at the same time it's how do I explain this? We don't always have to be the bigger person. You know?
Yeah, I do judge myself for not being the bigger person, though. That is definitely an area where I judge myself for. It's like, come on, Dominica, you're better than this. Don't behave like that.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, there are times where I'll look back. It doesn't even have to be something long ago. It could be like from a week ago, where I'm like, bruh. But you know, at the same time, you have to protect yourself first and foremost. If someone or something is affecting your mental health or what have you, sometimes just cutting them off is probably the best thing to do.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that you're not being the bigger person. Sometimes cutting them off is the better choice to do anyway.
It's the better choice, because usually we cut people off because we can't change them. Usually, and it's not our job to change them. It's just how they affect us.
Yeah, the you know, as long as you have expressed what it is that you need in that kind of connection, if they've heard you and they're not making those changes, then at that point, what else can you do but cut them off? Like, you have to have your boundaries somewhere. You can't just keep letting them walk all over you, or, you know, do the thing that is bothering you. Yeah,
for sure. Like, you know, like pre-COVID, when I was very, very ill with my illness, I remember I would message. I brought this up on stream. I've messaged friends, close friends, and what have you, or even just anyone in general, saying, hey, if you have the time, maybe an hour, if you could you drop by the house? I'd love to see you. And majority of people did come, which is amazing. But there were some didn't reply. Some who just said, oh, I'm busy. And I'm like, I didn't mention a date. And they never replied back. And it got to me for a while. And after a while, I just realized, like, you know, it's not good for my mental health. So block.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I obviously got to a point where I was like, I can't make any, you know, changes with what my ex-husband is doing. I'm just going to have to cut him out of my life by divorcing him and so on. And he still has issues with it. Like, you know, recently when he was, you know, trying to complain to me about various things, he reminded me that I, you know, ruined his life by not allowing him to build a tiny home in our backyard. And I was like, what the so that is like, in my head, I was like, dude, and you have zero acknowledgement for all the shit that you did to me that ruined my life, and I don't come at you with that stuff, right? Like, move on. Okay, like, he wanted to do that at a point where I was like, not even sure if I wanted to still be with him. Like, we were not in a healthy part of our relationship right then. There was no way that I was going to go into debt with him when I didn't know if I even wanted to stay married to him at the time. Like, because of all of the shitty treatment that he'd had towards me in the last several months, if not years at that point, right? So, like, there's zero acknowledgement from him for the bad stuff that he did towards me, but he's quite happy to acknowledge all of the things that I supposedly did that ruined things for him. Like, fuck you.
It's very, very tricky, you know, being able to do that. Like, for myself, one thing that springs to mind was when I was in my final year, when I was at the University of Hull. I was probably the worst version of myself, and I'm not proud of it, but I'm open to talking about it. And I remember a friend of mine, she and I were very, very close. recently, well, I say recent, last few months, we reconnected, and I was asking how she was and what have you. And she became very defensive and very antagonistic. And she brought up stuff that what I did in university, and I apologized. And she just kept going and going. And after a point, it came into my mind that, I thought I loved this person. She was a very good part of me. And whatever she's saying wasn't wrong. It
Hmm.
wasn't wrong. But she wouldn't let go and she kept on going. And at that point, I was just like, well, there's only so much I can do. And if she's not willing to forgive and move
Right.
on,
Yeah.
what's the point? So
You can't change the past. You can make up for things and like, try to hold yourself
you can
accountable
acknowledge
for
and
things.
apologize. Yeah,
Right. But you can't change what happened. Like what happened happened.
yeah,
Um yeah, I would love it if my ex-husband acknowledged even a fragment of the negative shit that he did towards me,
right,
and held himself accountable for some of it. But that's never going to happen. Like I've moved on with my life. I don't ask him for anything anymore. Like there's because I know I'm not going to get it,
right.
and it just would be nice for him to do the same stuff. Like he can hold a grudge against me forever. I don't give a shit, but just keep it to yourself or tell people who care, because I don't. I do not care.
Yeah, like conversely, like I said, like in from that same time period, as another friend of mine, I reached out to him because I was awful to him. I was really really bad, and I sent him this huge message and everything, and he just replied back like super quickly. He was like, "Dude, it's cool," and that broke me. I remember I was just going, "Oh God, this guy's so sweet," and yeah, and and to see him now, where he's running a successful business, he's married, he's got a kid, and I remember I would message him subsequently, just going, "Dude, I'm so proud of you, and all the things that I said and did around you was my insecurity, and please know, in in life, if this was a race, you've won." And yeah, he was very very kind about that. But yeah, it just goes to show that sometimes we just need to reach out and just apologize sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, it's not necessarily going to hit people the right way all the time, or like with the, positive intent that you give them. But my experience has been when people have reached out to me to apologize, um, I've generally moved on and, coped with things. And it's not something that is festered in me, but I have appreciated that they acknowledged their wrongdoing towards me.
Right.
Um, I don't have like a huge number of examples of it, but I do have a few that I'm just like, I'm so glad that they did that, even though it didn't bother me to the same extent anymore. I still appreciated that they had done it.
Right.
Like, one simple example was, somebody that I went to high school with. I was in the same grade as her. We connected on Facebook years before she reached out and told me that she, was so sorry for the way that she treated me in high school. And I was just like, wow, but like, because we'd been like engaging in a friendly manner through Facebook for a
Right.
little while by that point. So it was nice for her to acknowledge that she had treated me poorly.
Hmm.
And yeah, anyway, I appreciated it. So
Yeah.
I will always err on the side of encouraging someone to reach out and apologize for their past behavior, even if even if the person doesn't respond. At least like that you said your piece.
Repeats. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in some ways, like that's all you can do. Whether they acknowledge it or not, whether they accept it or not, that's on them. But you can only do what you can control,
Yeah.
right? So,
And
and
then but on the other hand, if they do like appreciate it, then that you
right.
know for sure that you did the right thing. But I think it's the right thing to do even if they don't acknowledge
Yeah.
it, because
Like I was saying,
sometimes
like
it's about peace within yourself.
exactly, like you can just go if the person doesn't even reply or reacts negatively, you can just go, okay, my part's done.
Yeah.
Wash your
Exactly.
hands.
Yeah. That's certainly how I've treated when I've reached out to people to apologize. But I will never do that to my ex-husband because I have nothing to apologize for. Not with the shit that he pulled on me. And he won't, if he's not going to acknowledge his part in things, then there's no fucking way that I'm going to apologize for my stuff. I will hold myself accountable for my part in my blog. And the lessons that I have learned from what I could have done better, but I'm not going to apologize to him for it.
Right.
Because a lot of that behavior was in reaction to things that he did. So, yes, I could have reacted better, but I didn't know better at the time. So, okay, my dad has another comment, which is basically saying, anyway, he says, I need to leave for a meeting, but also add this concept: love the person, but hate the sin. Not easily understood, but relates to God's willingness to forgive, but also requires accountability. Yeah, that's a concept that I actually do not like hearing from my dad because of the way that it can get mangled or used. Like, the way that I've heard this phrase is more often with when it comes to homosexuality, for example, because they see the act of homosexual sex as a sin. So when you're saying you love the person but you hate them having gay sex, it feels to me more like you're not actually loving the person then, because that quote unquote sin is who they are. Right. So you're not actually loving the person.
Yeah, like there was one thing. Sorry, a bit of a tangent, but one thing I remember we were in Middlesbrough, and we went in. One of our friends was a bartender at a gay club, and I remember there was 10 of us. We were all queuing up to go inside this club, and I remember the bouncer looked at us, and all 10 of us, and mind you, we're all like we're us, and he just looked at us and he went, "You gentlemen do know what kind of stuff this is?" And we're like, yeah, we know the bartender, we're here to support him, blah.
So he's basically like, you're not gay, why are you coming to a gay club?
I'm like, how do I remember, like, one of my friends behind him was like, well, how do you know we're not? How do you know? Come on, bro. And he was just like, guys. But we went in, and I remember, like, when we were in the club, it was so nice. Like, everyone was like so nice to us, and some guy went, "Oh, I love your shoes," or "I love your hat," or "You're cute." And I remember all of us was going, "We are sexy bitches. Yes, we are. Nice."
See, and if you're one of those like your dude bro alpha males on the internet, there's no way that you would have been comfortable in that kind of setting getting those kinds of compliments, because that's how much homophobia impacts those people. Like, that's so much, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like the epitome of masculinity is what a man who is so comfortable in their own sexuality that they are not fazed when another man compliments them.
I'm like, dude, I am a sexy bitch. Thank you.
It doesn't mean that you're going to go out and bang them. Appreciate the compliment. Like, especially if it's like, I guess that, those guys can't handle it, but they will do the same thing to women. But if they expect women to just accept the compliment from a random stranger in the street, then why can't you from a gay man in the same kind of situation? Right?
That's a very good point. Yeah.
What's the difference?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Like, I remember, like, there was one time, I think we were in Middlesbrough, and my friend Matt and I were just walking down the street, and this really extravagant gay person came up to us, and he looked at Matt and he went, "Oh, you're a big boy, aren't you?" And just walked off. And I remember Matt, he just went, without phasing Matt, he just went, "Yeah, I am." And just turned on.
Nice. I just had another thought about that example that I gave. I think because maybe the reason these guys get so like uptight when a gay man compliments them in such a way is because even if they think that women should just take the compliment in the street, what they deep down think is like they owe me sex. So they're thinking if a gay man compliments in that them in that same way, they think the gay man thinks that they owe them sex for complimenting them. It's like,
that's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting.
I don't know.
Well,
Just crossed my mind.
that's the thing. It's that's a really good point. That's why I always try to. Well, I'm trying to. I don't do it all the time, but I remember when I was in the US, I tried to practice this, where once a day I would compliment a stranger, whether I meant it or not. Was neither here or there. Like I'll be walking down the street and go, "Nice shoes, bro," or "Nice shirt, man," and that's it. And one thing I think with men is we're not conditioned to accept those because we don't get very compliments.
Yeah.
You know,
especially I feel like a lot of men wish that they were complimented like that.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
But then they don't know how to accept it when it happens.
Right. So, like, you know, for example, when a man compliments another man, there's awkwardness. When a woman compliments another man, assuming he's straight, we'll be like, okay, well, what does she want?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's, but that's the thing. We should,
or they assume that she's into him and not just friendly.
Or that. Yeah, well, what does she want exactly? So, like, yeah, oh, you look very. You've been going to the gym. You look bigger, and you're just like, what do you want?
That's what she said.
True.
Sorry.
That will always work. Never apologize.
Anyway, okay, so sorry, Dad, for me disrupting your phrase that you know, the concept that love the person and hate the sin. I just can't get behind it because of that aspect that I mentioned. So kind of went off on a tangent a little bit there. Otherwise, like, I do understand, like, in a broad sense, like, love the person but not the behavior.
Yeah,
as long as it's not something that is like an ingrained part of who they are. So, like, for example, a lot of people might complain about behaviors that are innate to being autistic. Like, you know, info dumping. It's like, oh man, I hate people who just like ramble on and on about one subject. Like, you know, love the person, but like, I wish they would stop doing that. Like, no, if you don't like them doing that, you don't like them as a person, because that is an innate part of who they are. So, well, like, you kind of have to kind of.
That's tricky though, because that is part of their medical condition. If you have autism, you can't help it.
Yes.
Where else with, let's say, there are some people in my life who, excuse me, who will go, like, have that verbal diarrhea, and they will go on. And when I've called them out on it, they'll be very, very antagonistic. They'll be like, let me talk. They'll start screaming. And it's tricky because it's all about accepting them but not enabling them at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if you have a friend who is a very, very known party animal, yeah, I'll hang out with you, but I won't. But I know that I shouldn't encourage you to keep drinking or doing something else where I'm making the situation worse.
Yeah. So anyway, my point is like, you know, it's kind of a spectrum of examples. And as long as the quote unquote sin is not a part of who that person is, that they can't change, then fine. But I can get behind this concept. I can understand it.
Fair enough.
All right. So let's move on then.
Next question.
The next question. I'm just going to delete one of these so I can see the next ones. Come on. All right. Here we go. What's an assumption you once made about someone that turned out to be completely wrong?
Ooh. Do you want to go first?
My automatic reaction is like, I once thought my ex-husband was a good person, and clearly I was wrong. And I feel like this question is more like, this is meant to be towards like, you made a negative assumption about someone that turned out to be completely wrong. And I'm sure I've done that as well. Um, but I don't. It's hard to kind of really think about like a good example of that, I think.
Hmm. Well, one that comes to mind. This was when I was in Hull. I remember there was one girl who would always come into the student union with all her friends, and she was the very very sexy alternative girl. And I remember everyone in the bar, everyone would just be like, "Oh, she's unreal."
Mhm.
And yeah, and I remember like everyone like some of my immediate surroundings would just be like, "Oh, I bet she's this, I bet she's that." And I remember there was one night I came into the bar just by myself, and she was by herself, and she and I just started talking, and we hit it off, and she was very very nice, and she was someone completely different to what you'd expect. And yeah, so it just goes to show that don't judge someone just by how they look, how they behave, how they hang, who they hang around with. Yes, you can make assumptions, but it doesn't mean it's always the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did think of an example that fits in with the intent of this question. And it is something that, granted, I have talked about plenty of times on the stream
Oh, have
before,
you?
but it is the best example that I have. As I've brought up in the past, I have this ex who lived in Malaysia. I use the name Lee for him because that's the name that the pseudonym I've chosen for him for my memoir. And so he ghosted me about a month after I moved, or a month and a half after I moved to California. And the assumptions I made at the time were like, I did something wrong. He hates me. I'm a terrible person. He just like wants nothing to do with me anymore. Like, all these kinds of things, like negatives, like, oh. And it turned out I was completely wrong, because when we did finally reconnect 9.5 years later, and he told me what was actually going on with him, I learned that it was a lot more about his own insecurities and
Yeah.
shame and stuff that was going on with him, more so than it was about anything that was going on with me. So that he just felt like there were aspects where he felt like he couldn't support me in the way that he wanted to. He did not have the capacity to. So it was just easier for him to disappear.
Yeah.
Um, so that just goes to show that the reason that somebody discards you from their life may have nothing to do with you at all.
Yeah, like as I might have mentioned previously, I think we all live in a bubble I like to call main character syndrome.
Yes.
Yeah. So unfortunately, the world doesn't always revolve around us. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, lately I've been, running with the assumption of like, I previously I'd be like, I'm sure he's still checking up on me, and recently I'd be like, nah, I don't think he is checking up on me. I'm like, I'm sure I was wrong about that. Like, I have no idea what my assumptions are now.
yeah.
Will I find out that I was completely wrong? Who knows?
Who knows?
If I move back to when I move back to Malaysia, there's still no guarantee that I'll find out. All right, we have one question left, I think.
Ooh.
What kind of self-judgment do you struggle with most, and where do you think it comes from?
Hmm. Hmm. Um. Ooh. I think in my experience, a lot of self judgment that I have always struggled with, and I think most of, I mean, throughout my life and even now today, was I should be the best version that of who I am, of what I could be. Um, Monetarily, like I like it's black and white. My parents have invested XYZ into me, whether it's my upbringing, my education, my medical health, and what have you. Everything.
Mm,
I should be the best version of that, and I should be able to reflect that investment.
mm,
Uh, with my friends, they are investing their time, which is finite with me. I should be the best version of that. I should be able to reflect their time well spent.
Oh man, that's so hard on yourself,
It's
because
hard. It's hard.
friendship should be about supporting you through the hard times as well. You don't have to be the best version of yourself
No,
all the
but
time around your friends. So like my point is like that it sounds like a really harsh judgment of yourself
it
to
is.
put yourself in that position.
Right. Well, but at the same time, like I like to think that we can choose our we can choose our friends. We can't choose our family. So with your friends, you can selectively decide who's a part of your life.
Mhm.
And yeah, and the fact is I had to admit that there are times where especially when I was housebound during my early stages of my illness, I was extremely overbearing. I would like message people nonstop. I would lash out with my family because I had no correct outlet to manifest this, and it's tricky.
Right.
So I
So that's
think
the
that
place where it comes from that you
right,
struggle with.
yeah. So
Was knowing that it was an area that you struggled with before, so
right,
now you need to correct it. It's like
yeah,
corrective
yeah,
behavior.
yeah. So it's self-corrected behavior, and
Mm.
and hindsight is 2020, and it just goes to show that as long as you recognize it, you're willing to change and you can adapt that moving forward. That's all you can do. But 9 times out of 10, people don't accept that realization that A, I was in the wrong, or B, I could be better.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I think my internet is being silly. Oh, no, maybe Sharon got cut out, I guess. Oh, maybe he'll pop back in. But in the meantime, I suppose I can answer the question. So, what kind of self judgment do I struggle with the most? Well, I touched on this earlier in the stream. It's very much about the life decisions I make. Am I making the right decision? Following the right life path? Um, there you are. Sharon is back.
Welcome back.
I thought that you were kind of cutting out here and there, and I thought it was
Oh, I'm sorry.
my end. And
Oh, that's weird.
I was like, oh, maybe must have been your end then.
Sorry about that. Yeah, like yeah. So I think with self judgment, as long as we can acknowledge that, and yeah, I think it goes to show that self judgment and self reflection are two different things. Like self reflection, in my opinion, is taking that judgment, acting on it, and
Yes.
becoming a better person. Uh, yeah. So 9 times out of 10, even if people do have that light bulb moment, some of them refuse to change either through pride or
Yeah.
what have you. It's not
I
easy.
shouldn't have to change. The other person should have to change, or just
Yeah.
accept me for who I am.
Yeah.
But,
And
but
yeah,
do you want to be that person?
yeah. And to be fair, like I've noticed this a lot with the previous generation in particular. Like I've noticed that like they'll acknowledge they know what they've done is wrong,
Mm,
but they're way too proud to
mm.
admit it. And I like to think our generation's a lot more
Yeah.
valuable.
Yeah.
And to be fair, the generation after us as well, I think they're pretty good about it. But it
Mm.
depends. I mean, obviously, there. I'm not saying it's the overall thing, but there are
No,
many.
but there's just a good number of examples. I understand what you're saying. My ex-husband was Gen X, and he was very prideful about his ways, and he was very set. He's like, I'm too old to change. This is just who I am. Accept it
Yep,
or, fuck off.
get out. Yeah,
um,
yeah.
so
I've heard that too.
yeah, and whereas I was more of the mind to try and just follow, if I felt I was doing something wrong and I wanted to be a better person, then I would correct my behavior. and if somebody did not follow my, leading by example, and I couldn't stand how they treated me the same way, even though I was improving my behavior, then that's like, okay, I need to reduce my time with this person then. Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
my so my answer to this question is, I touched on this earlier, towards the beginning of the stream, where I was talking about my life choices. The area that I struggle with the most for self-judgment is my life decisions and the path that I follow. And it comes from knowing how my mum, or thinking about how my mum might have reacted to choices that I wanted to make. So like um one of the reasons that I went into, studying data analytics and that kind of career during the pandemic was because my self-judgment was like, well, I have to be the bigger person, and the responsible thing to do is to make a good amount of money so I can support my children, because my ex-husband is clearly not doing the right thing. So I have to be the responsible one to do it. And so, I followed those kinds of choices. And it might not have been like the thing that I was most passionate about. And so like my current thing that I'm working towards is more of like, no, it's okay to follow what I'm most passionate about right now. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But like, at least try. But there's still that judgment of like, but is it the right thing for me to do? It's not necessarily going to make you any money. It's like, and I was like giving myself, like, it doesn't matter if it's not making me money. Is it something that I'm excited about doing? Yes, then maybe I should do it, because at least then it's going to keep me alive and not, floundering, which is what I feel like I've kind of been doing over the last year. It's like, I don't know what the fuck I want to do with my life now. I can't get a job. And, just all that struggling. So I feel like even if it doesn't lead to, a higher salary or a better career or whatever, at least I am not going to be floundering. I'll have a goal that I'm working towards, which is more than I've had over the last year. Because the last year is just me doing this live stream is the only like dedicated thing that I've had in my life. So that, and me, packing up my house in preparation of moving back to Malaysia, which is a separate thing from the thing that I'm not sharing details about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, just to go piggyback on that, like, I don't know whether I've told you or our viewers this. Like, I'm actually shutting down my office, my physical space, end of this month, and so next week we're getting the movers to come in, everything, the logistics alone.
It's a lot. Mm.
So probably by like this time next month, I might have no hair at all. So
it's just fallen out from all the stress.
It's completely gone.
Oh my goodness, is that happening to me?
No. I mean, well, that's if you wouldn't mind donating that hair.
I mean, is it cheaper for you to get hair implants from someone's hair that is donated to you? Because we can figure something out.
People will call my people.
I don't necessarily need all of this hair.
Yeah, I don't even have that exactly. Yeah. I'll take like a tenth of that.
This is at this point laziness and not wanting to pay for a hairdresser. Honestly,
such a first world problem. Oh.
Let me walk into a Malaysian saloon where it's going to be so much cheaper. Sorry.
Yeah.
I just had to throw that out there because I love.
I
love that salons are called saloons in Malaysia. I just think that's the funniest thing.
You just think cowboys gonna walk in there?
Yeah, no. One of my earliest stand-up jokes was about that, like walking into a saloon and like asking for a dry whiskey from the bar, like.
And she's like, "Sir, this is a barber and cuts."
Tying my horse up on the post outside.
Down at the OK Corral.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Bringing back some memories for you. There you go.
Oh no, it was fun. It was fun times. I am looking forward to being back there. And yes, it is a lot cheaper to get all of that stuff done there. Who knows? Maybe I'll re-dye my hair fun colors and make some changes as well. Probably not.
Cool.
I don't know that I'm up for that anymore in my 40s.
Hey man, you never know.
That was at the time one of those things where like I don't have much control over my life, but I do have control over my hair, so I'm going to dye it fun colors. Whereas nowadays, I have a lot. Okay, fair. Dye your hair fun colors.
Yeah,
just because it's only like in some parts doesn't mean that you can't still do that.
True.
But anyway, my point was like I do feel like I have a little bit more control over my life now than I did back then, because now I'm single. Yes, I'm still going to have a son living with me, but he's 15, so I have a lot more freedom to choose what to do with my life compared to what I had back in those days.
Right.
So very different times, and yeah, we'll see how things go.
Cool.
Well, that was our last question. So I guess we can wrap up, unless there's anything else that you would like to discuss about judgments and being judged and judging yourself and judging others.
I do have one thing. How much do you think in the modern era, I think judgment has become a lot more of a team sport, where it's my tribe versus your tribe. I mean, it's more of a collective thing where we don't, we're not judging the one person down the street or that one person we know. We go, okay, you're a blue shirt, I'm a red shirt, and we just don't jive.
Yeah. That makes sense, because I think American politics has a lot to answer for in that area.
Yep.
And it's amazing how that has proliferated around the world as a result.
All over.
Like, it's kind of insane how much America impacts the rest of the world, and then Americans act like they don't have influence over others and they shouldn't care about the rest of the world. It's like, yes, because what you do impacts the rest of the world. It doesn't just impact your country.
Well, I mean, there's the old adage that America is very insular because they're so because obviously geographically they're on the other side of everyone else, but they're very insular despite the fact that so many people come there. A majority of a decent amount of Americans only speak one language.
Yes, and they also never leave the country.
They never leave the country because
whether it's because they can't afford to, or because there's so many other things to do within the United States by visiting another state, they don't need to go to another country.
I remember, like, I was talking to a cousin of mine yesterday. Actually, I was at a function, and he studied in Pittsburgh, and I remember, like, we were talking about it. We were saying a lot of Americans don't leave necessarily the country, but at the same time, each state in some ways is a different country where there's different values, different architecture, foods, what have you, and people are different. So in some ways, it's
cheaper for them to travel to other states to explore different cultures, quote unquote. And I've definitely experienced that myself as someone who's living in the United States and traveled to other states. Like, for example, New Orleans, Louisiana, like the Cajun kind of culture is very unique to that area. And
cool.
I traveled to NOLA specifically so I could get the authentic Cajun food locally. Because you can go to the restaurants or whatever in other places, but one of the things that I like to do when I travel is specifically to try the local cuisine. And so, that was one of the reasons I went there. So yes, it's very much different cultures in different places. I watched the first 3 episodes of, there's this series on HBO Max called It's Florida, Man. And I watched the first. No, the reason I kind of encountered it is because, well, I'm currently subscribed to HBO Max at the moment because they had a Black Friday deal for $2.99 a month. So I'm like, yes, I can catch up on my shows that I wanted to watch, which I've done for the most part now. So I'm like, woohoo, and now I can watch other things.
Yeah, great value for money. Nice.
And so this series is on season 2 at the moment, and there are like new episodes every week at the moment. So it's like featured prominently as like a suggested thing to watch. So that was why I'm like, okay, let's see what this thing is about. And it was described as, you know, these are true stories, but they're kind of reenacted by a, you know, rotating cast of comedians. And I saw like the thumbnail for one of them had Randall Park. I was like, okay, I'm curious. It's like, I like Randall Park. Let's see what this is. But he was in episode 3. I'm like, I like to start things from the beginning. So I ended up watching 3 episodes. I don't think I'll continue after this because I'm like, it's I was like, really? These are real people. These are real. Like, I was like, I don't know that I need to know that people like this really exist.
Yep.
That's was my reaction, and I'm like, this is very judgmental of me, I'm sure. So it's relevant to this stream because it's talking about passing judgments.
Yeah.
But like the first episode is about this guy who went out and like had his arm bitten off by an alligator and like was in
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Typical Sunday, right? Sunday
in a swamp.
Yeah.
And like he was not found he was not able to get to like civilization and be found by a person for like 3 days afterwards. Who knows how he survived? And he's just like talking about this as like this is a, you know, a thing that he wants to try again. I was like, what? What?
Well, I don't know, because like in my experience, whenever something so traumatic happens to you, there's other 2 ways that can happen. Either it paralyzes you emotionally, mentally forever, or in the exact opposite, it was just Tuesday. You know?
Yeah. Anyway, if that sounds interesting to anyone watching, then feel free to check it out. I don't think I can continue on. The Randall Park episode was
bit much.
Not where I expected it to go. Yeah. Okay, I'll give you the gist of. I won't say who he played, but this episode was about how this guy was desperate for money so that he could fly to another state to go to a concert for like a 2-day concert or something. And so he posted on Craigslist like, need money, will do anything. And he was like scrolling through a bunch of people like wanting things that, yeah, exactly. And he was like, and most of the things were like sexual things. He was like, oh no, actually I can't do that. But the one he did agree to was this guy who was like, help me act out my greatest fantasy. I promise it's not sexual. I just want someone to come and cut off 3 of my toes and then cook and eat them. And this was the thing that
this is what he said yes. Okay.
This is what he said yes to. And like, I'm cringing this entire episode. I'm like, what the fuck? And you agreed to this? And you brought this person wanted him to bring a woman to watch as well. And so he brought a friend and was like, what the fuck? I won't say how it ends. But I was like, anyway, so if that sounds interesting, you can check it out. I don't think I can watch any more of that series.
Fair enough.
The only reason I put it on the first place because I wanted to see Randall Park, and I was like, no, he's not in any more episodes. I'm done. Nope. I don't care who the other comedians are in the other episodes. I'm done.
Fair enough. That's funny.
It's hard when you were raised like with, you know, a good education and went to college or university in my case, which is the same thing. It's just what we call it in Australia. And you feel more educated. It's hard to comprehend and very easy to judge people that didn't have that similar kind of life experience. And maybe they didn't choose to be stupid. Maybe that's just a quality of or a side effect of where they grew up or whatever. And if they had any option, they would choose to do otherwise. But it's still like very hard for me to grasp that there are actually people out there like that.
Well, I mean, that's the hard part, isn't it? Like, we all go through different experiences, life experiences, and we can't hold everyone to the same standards as we do, because as much as we like to think like, we're the paragons of virtue and decency, if we were born in their circumstances, wouldn't we act the same way?
Maybe.
Right?
We don't know.
We don't know. All you can do is control yourself.
So, judge not, lest ye be judged. But fuck, is it hard sometimes? So hard sometimes. But you know what? I am fine with being judged by most people, and I don't care what they think of me anyway. For the most part, I will care what people I care about think of me, and if they're not okay with my behavior, I will try to work towards improving.
Constructive criticism is always welcome.
Yes, exactly. But otherwise, who cares? I don't care what my ex-husband thinks of me anymore.
Not enough hours in the day, senor.
No, I have more important things to focus my attention on.
Right.
All right. Anything else left to say? No? Okay.
Sir.
Well, we will finish things up. If you have been watching after the fact, thank you so much for watching. Feel free to drop us some comments in the comment section. Let us know what you think. Ask us any questions if you'd like. Share your experiences, relate them back to us. I'm autistic, so I like to hear other people's experiences and how they related to mine. That's how I work. And if you're not subscribed, please click the subscribe button.
Do all the things, people.
If you hit the notification bell, then you'll be able to find out when we're live. You'll get that notification because I don't always announce it in advance. Or very far in advance.
Yeah, sorry about that. That's my fault mostly.
Yeah. No, I could have put this event up before today, and I didn't because I knew that this was happening. But we only have a couple more weeks left of the year. If we can make things work, we will do 2 more episodes before the end of the year. And then at that point, I think I might take a break beginning in January, just because I really need to get my shit together and hopefully move. My goal, I don't know if I've mentioned this before yet, but my goal at this point, if I can make things work, because I'd like to be in Malaysia by Chinese New Year, which is February 17th. Yes. So if I can make that work, I'm going to need all of January off. But we'll try and do another couple of episodes before the end of the year. So stay tuned for those. And until next time, judge not, lest ye be judged.
There you go. All right.